on the way.
boogeyman band coming round the bend. Is boogeyman band. Is boogeyman band.
Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate everyone checking this video out. I apologize for this anniversary tribute video being late. I've been really sick the last week. I got a cold, but finally starting to feel better. But it's been a battle, and then plus I had work and some family things that were going on. So I apologize for this not being published on December the 9th, which was the 40th anniversary of one of my favorite films and a film that grew in terms of popularity with me over time, and that is John Carpenter's Christine, based on the Stephen King novel. This was a film that was in pretty heavy rotation on cable television. It wasn't a film that I really got into until probably the late 80s, early 90s. I knew Keith Gordon from Back to School at that point. I'd seen him in Back to School and The Legend of Billie Jean, and he was the initial draw, as was John Carpenter, of course, who had directed Halloween, The Thing, The Fog. He had been responsible for a lot of my favorite horror films, and of course Stephen King being my favorite author. That was kind of my, what initially sort of enticed me to watch this film. And I'm grateful that this film has seen sort of a cult resurgence over the years. It is really popular. There is rumors that they are going to be remaking it, which I hope are false. I hope it doesn't get remade. I think it's a perfect film still to this day. And I'm excited today to talk about, how the film got made, who was responsible for it, and some of the elements that went into it that changed the way that the story went in Stephen King's novel. And I hope everyone enjoys this, and here we go. Socially awkward and unpopular high school nerd Arnie Cunningham finds solace in Christina, a once bright red 1958 Plymouth Fury, now a 21-year-old rusty pile of junk. The car was given the name Christine by its first owner. He brings the car to a repair shop and works hard to restore the classic car. While he works in the restoration, he changes his personality to a cocky teenager, and he dates the most beautiful girl in high school. Soon, Arnie becomes selfish and jealous of the supernatural Christine that kills everyone that is a threat to them. The cast of the movie, you have Keith Gordon as Arnie, John Stockwell as Dennis, Alexandra Paul as Lee, Robert Protsky as Darnell, Harry Dean Stanton as Junkins, Christine Belford as Regina Cunningham, Roberts Blossom as LeBay, William Ostrander as Buddy, Malcolm Danaray as Moochie, Stephen Tash as Rich, Stuart Charno as Vandenberg, and Kelly Preston as Roseanne. The movie is based on the novel by Stephen King. A screenplay was done by Bill Phillips, and it was directed by John Carpenter. Producer Richard Coberts had previously produced the 1979 miniseries Salem's Lot, also based on Stephen King's novel. Through producing the miniseries, Coberts became acquainted with King, who sent him manuscripts of two of his novels, Cujo and Christine. Coberts purchased the rights to Christine after finding himself attracted to the novel's celebration of America's obsession with the motor car. Coberts' first choice for director was John Carpenter, who was initially unavailable due to two upcoming projects: an adaptation of another King novel, Firestarter, and an adaptation of the 1980 Eric Van Lesbarter novel, The Ninja. However, production delays on these projects allowed Carpenter to accept the director position for Christine. Coberts and Carpenter had previously collaborated in the 1978 television film Somebody's Watching Me. Bill Phillips was Carpenter's choice for writer and was brought on shortly after Carpenter arrived. Carpenter was also joined by special effects supervisor Roy Arbogast, who had previously worked with Carpenter in The Thing. According to Carpenter, Christine was not a film he had planned on directing, saying that he directed the film as a job as opposed to a personal project. He had previously directed The Thing, which had done poorly at the box office and led to critical backlash. In retrospect, Carpenter stated that upon reading Christine, he felt that it wasn't very frightening, but it was something I needed to do at the time for my career. King's novel, the source material for Carpenter's film, made it clear that the car was possessed by the evil spirit of the previous owner, Roland LeBay, whereas the film version of the story shows that the evil spirit of the car manifested itself on the day it was built. Other elements from the novel were altered for the film, particularly the execution of the death scenes, which the filmmakers opted for a more cinematic approach. Christine was shot largely in Los Angeles, California, while the location for Darnell's garage was located in Santa Clarita. Filming began in April 1983, mere days after the King novel had been published. Originally, Carpenter had not planned to film the car's regeneration scenes, but gave special effects supervisor Roy Arbogast 3 weeks to devise a way for the car to rebuild itself. Arbogast and his team made rubber molds from one of the cars including a whole front end. One of the cars was stripped of its engine to accommodate internally mounted hydraulics that pulled the framework inward, crumbling the car with the shot then run backwards in the final film. In 2023, John Carpenter reflected on the movie. I love my cast in that movie. Keith Gordon was fabulous, and Alexandra Paul was, I believe she'd been a model, and she's just a terrific actress. And the great character actor Harry Dean Stanton was on that. Harry Dean is quite a character. I really loved him. But it was a fun movie to make and easy. Nothing tough about it. And it's okay. You know, it opened all right. So people were kind, which is nice. One thing about the movie I also want to point out is the amazing score. It's one of my favorite collaborations between Alan Howarth and John Carpenter. Really, really well done. And it's really, again, it's just how that music can make a film come to life. Yeah, this film is one that I kind of watched just because I said I was a big fan of Keith Gordon, was a big fan of his acting, and that's why I checked the movie out initially. And with the fact that it was, you know, two of my favorite artists, being John Carpenter and Stephen King, were, connected to it. That was the other reason. I did read the novel as well. I read it when I was in high school, shortly after I had seen the movie a couple of times. I remember, again, it was one of those books I checked out at the library and read before I actually had a copy of it. But it's been a long time. I haven't read it since I was in high school, so it's been over 30 years. But it still was a great book, and I think it was made into a fantastic movie. And even though it wasn't a passion project for John Carpenter, I still think he brought some tremendous elements to it. Just the fact that you believe that car is alive. It's I think it's tough to pull off something like that. And again, it just shows, the strength behind everybody involved in it, including the director, and how they were able to bring that vision to life. The scenes where the car is destroyed and it goes back to normal, it's just done in such an ingenious way, especially in a time where there wasn't a lot of visual effects. It was all done practically. But I think Keith Gordon and the Arnie changing into this different character, just in everything, his embodiment, just how he starts the film and where he ends up at the end. He has more of this 50s look to him, and it's subtle. Like, his clothes get darker, he doesn't wear his glasses anymore, and Keith Gordon becomes more unhinged, and he's very terrifying. And I think that the way that there are some over-the-top moments, but I think in a lot of ways it's just like you can see at points it's him sort of fighting this duality that he has, that is being kind of, it's something that is being manipulated by Christine. I love John Stockwell as Dennis. You really believe that him and Arnie are friends, and that friendship is very palpable, and I just love the relationship between the two and how he sticks up for Arnie. And as Arnie becomes more and more unhinged, and you just see that Dennis, you really believe the trauma that Dennis is going through, seeing his friend change. And William Ostrander as Buddy Repperton is one of my favorite depictions of a bully. He's just so awesome in it, and I know he doesn't have a huge amount of screen time, but the scenes that he is in are just some of my favorites because he's such a prick, and I just love the way the actor played that part, and him and Moochie, and it was really just those bullies were really well done, and I just had a blast every time they were on screen, and you love seeing them get their comeuppance. And the scenes with Christine, the one that just completely floors me still to this day is the scene where Christine slams into the gas station and then backs up as the gas station explodes fully in flames and chases Buddy down the street. I still think it's one of the scariest and best representations of this evil car. I know stuntman Terry Leonard was actually driving the car in that scene, but that still just blows my mind. That car is on fire driving down the street, and it's so terrifying. And it really, really still gets me. And again, it with the John Carpenter and Alan Howarth score, it just is so it's the mood and everything is just so brilliant, and it still gives me chills when I watch that scene today. So yeah, the film just still holds up so well for me. I think everybody in it is fantastic. Like I said, I've talked about, Keith Gordon and John Stockwell, but Alexandra Paul is great in it. Robert Brodsky, the late Robert Brodsky, the late Roberts Blossom, Harry Dean Stanton, the lovely Kelly Preston, who unfortunately passed away. It was one of my major crushes growing up. Everybody in it does a great job, and it's one of John Carpenter's best films, and like I said, all of the elements come together. And again, I just can't sing this film's praises enough. John Carpenter's Christine, happy 40th anniversary to this amazing film. I don't think it needs to be touched, don't think it needs to be remade, but I'm sure it will be at one point, with new special effects that won't have the heart of the original. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I talked about this film. Sorry for the delay in getting this out. I wanted to get this out on the actual anniversary date, which was December 9th, but I appreciate everybody for watching this video. Let me know what you think of John Carpenter's Christine. Are you a fan of the film like I am? Do you think it's one of John Carpenter's underrated gems? Just curious what people think. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Would love to hear from everyone. I will close this video showcasing some of the Christine items I have here in the room, and I want to thank everyone again for stopping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well, and I will talk to you again real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. Peace. Cheers.
Hey my fellow Fright Fiends, I just want to thank everyone for supporting Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. If you haven't yet subscribed and you'd like to, please hit the subscribe button down below, click the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I try to drop a video at least once or twice a week. The Horror Zone is a passion of mine, and it really makes me happy that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy, stay scared as always.